We've mapped the surface of Mars better than we've mapped the Atlantic Ocean. So what's really hiding down there? What unseen underworld lies beneath the Atlantic Ocean? More than 80% of the ocean has never been explored by human beings. And while we've delved deeper into the darkest pits of space than the ocean's deepest trenches, there's one thing that we know for sure: the vast majority of our planet remains a total mystery. Take the Atlantic, the largest ocean on Earth. It covers more than 20% of our planet's surface and reaches depths of over 12,000 feet. Yet somehow we know more about the surface of other planets than we do about this one. And while astronauts have walked on the moon, no human has ever ventured into the deepest parts of the Atlantic. So what could be lurking in these unexplored depths? To start, how about some strange sounds? Back in 1997, a network of hydrophones designed to listen for underwater blasts from distant naval weapons testing picked up something very unusual. They were listening off the coast of the Caribbean when they heard a sound so incredibly loud, it could only have been made by something the size of a blue whale. That's pretty big because blue whales are the biggest creatures that have ever lived on Earth. Yet the next day, a research vessel was dispatched to find the source of the sound and discovered nothing. This would become known as the Bloop, and to this day, almost 3 decades later, nobody knows what it was. But perhaps that's not the strangest thing that's happened in the Atlantic. There are plenty of bizarre tales of ships sailing into the ocean, never to be seen again. And sometimes these disappearances happen with seemingly no cause at all. It's led some people to believe that there are terrifying monsters living in the depths of the ocean. Others say that there are underwater cities built by aliens. But before we get to those theories, let's talk about some actual facts. Take the Bermuda Triangle, for example, a region in the western part of the North Atlantic where some ships and planes have vanished without a trace. One theory says that it's caused by magnetic anomalies messing with navigation. But another says something far more sinister. Some say that the Bermuda Triangle is a portal to another dimension or a gateway to hell itself. Now, this obviously hasn't been proven. But just think about the fact that if there are portals to other dimensions hiding somewhere in the Atlantic, that means there could be portals to other universes. And who's to say that they don't contain their own versions of Earth? If we sail through them, are we entering a parallel world or a mirror world where everything is slightly different? Are we entering a world where we're all dead or where dinosaurs never went extinct? Is it possible that these portals are how the ancient gods traveled? Or maybe they're the reason that Atlantis sank beneath the waves in the first place. Atlantis has appeared in many myths and legends throughout history, but it was Plato who described it as a real place. He said that it was a place of wisdom where a utopian civilization thrived, until the people became arrogant and it was punished by the gods. According to Plato, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. But many people believe that the city didn't sink, it merely moved, perhaps to another dimension, or maybe even another universe. Some even believe that the entrance to Atlantis is hidden somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. So what might explorers find if they found it? For starters, a whole new world. We know that life on Earth tends to follow the same rules. That gravity works in predictable ways, physics holds steady, and we always travel to the future at exactly the same rate. But maybe, just maybe, this won't be true in Atlantis. If it is another dimension, then physics will work differently. Gravity could be stronger, weaker, or non-existent. Time could move faster or slower, and the explorers would need to come back quickly if they wanted to avoid getting stuck forever in a world where the laws of nature are completely different. In other words, if Atlantis exists, it's not just a fascinating historical city, it's a gateway to a whole other reality. But even if we set aside speculation about other dimensions and alternate realities, there's still plenty of weird stuff in the Atlantic Ocean. That's because many believe that our planet's oceans are full of monsters, creatures so big and scary that we simply haven't discovered them yet. Take the giant squid, for example. These things are already huge, able to grow over 43 feet long. But that's nothing compared to the legendary kraken. This sea monster is said to be large enough to wrap its tentacles around an entire ship and drag it down to the depths. In fact, there are many stories of the kraken attacking ships and causing them to sink, leaving no survivors. Now, scientists have yet to confirm the existence of the kraken, but that doesn't mean it isn't out there somewhere. After all, there are plenty of gigantic creatures that we didn't know existed until relatively recently. Take the giant squid, for example. These things are already huge, able to grow over 43 feet long, but that's nothing compared to the legendary kraken. This sea monster is said to be large enough to wrap its tentacles around an entire ship and drag it down to the depths. In fact, there are many stories of the kraken attacking ships and causing them to sink, leaving no survivors. Now, scientists have yet to confirm the existence of the kraken, but that doesn't mean it isn't out there somewhere. After all, there are plenty of gigantic creatures that we didn't know existed until relatively recently. Take the giant squid, for example. These things are already huge, able to grow over 43 feet long. But that's nothing compared to the legendary kraken. This sea monster is said to be large enough to wrap its tentacles around an entire ship and drag it down to the depths. In fact, there are many stories of the Kraken attacking ships and causing them to sink, leaving no survivors. Now, scientists have yet to confirm the existence of the Kraken, but that doesn't mean it isn't out there somewhere. After all, there are plenty of gigantic creatures that we didn't know existed until relatively recently, like the giant squid, which can reach lengths of over 43 feet, or the colossal squid, which has eyes the size of basketballs. Both of these creatures are ambush predators, meaning they spend most of their time hiding in the darkness and only come out to hunt. And that brings us back to the bloop. What if it wasn't just a mysterious noise, but the sound of a giant creature waking up? Perhaps it's a sign that one of these massive beasts is finally stirring from its slumber after years or even decades of hiding. After all, if we still haven't discovered these creatures, it's likely that they've managed to hide themselves from us for quite a long time. But even if there are no gigantic monsters living in the Atlantic, there are still plenty of other strange things down there. Many believe that there are secret underwater bases built by secret organizations or even by aliens. There are also rumors of entire alien cities hidden beneath the waves. Of course, none of this has been proven, but that doesn't mean it isn't true. After all, we've only explored a tiny fraction of the ocean. So what else could be down there? Well, for starters, there's a lot of trash. Humans have dumped a lot of junk into the ocean, and it's estimated that there are over 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic in it. There's also a lot of oil and gas, which is why many countries have tried to drill for it in the ocean. But there's also a lot of minerals, including manganese nodules, which are rich in metals like manganese, nickel, and cobalt. There are also underwater volcanoes, which are actually more active than volcanoes on land. And there's a lot of geothermal energy, which can be harnessed to generate electricity. Finally, there's also a lot of life. Despite the fact that sunlight can't penetrate the water at these depths, there are still plenty of creatures living there. Many of these creatures are bioluminescent, meaning they can produce their own light, and together, they form a beautiful display of lights in the darkness. But what if there's something else down there? What if there's something watching us from the darkness? What if there are intelligent creatures living in the depths of the ocean that are more advanced than humans? What if they're the ones who built the underwater bases and cities? What if they're the ones who have been observing us for centuries? Of course, these are just theories. But the truth is, we don't know what's really down there. All we know is that the ocean is vast and mysterious and that we've only scratched the surface. Perhaps it's better we don't know what's really down there. Now go watch what really lives in the Mariana Trench. Or click this other video instead.